Multiplying complex numbers is very similar to multiplying binomials, except for one thing. There's one simple fact that you have to remember, and it's very, very important, and it's this. I squared equals -1. Tattoo this on your brain. Let's try A. So here we'll treat I like an x at first. So -2 times -11 is +22, and then I times I is I squared. But our super important fact here says that I squared is -1, so this is 22 times -1, which we'll write as -22. There we go. Okay, so the only difference is I squared is -1 now. Let's take a look at B. We will FOIL this together, first, outside, inside, last, and see what we get. Right? So just like they were binomials with x's, so let's do it. First is 3 times 4, that's 12. Oh. That's 12, okay. Outside is 3 times 5i, which is -15i. Inside, 2i times 4, so that's +8i. And last is 2i times 5i. This is where we have to be careful. 2i times 5i, or 2i times -5i, sorry about that, -5i. 2 times -5 is -10i squared. And here we are again. I squared, remember, is -1. Right? That's the important part of this. Okay, that's what's different now. So, simplifying down, we have 12. -15 plus 8 is -7i. And now we have -10 times -1. Look at that. I squared is -1. So this becomes 12 minus 7i plus 10, which we then write as 22 minus 7i. Okay, and notice this is of the form a plus bi, where b just happens to be -7, a is 22. And that reminds me, in this first one here, sometimes you can write this as -22 plus 0i. It's rare, but sometimes some problems and some texts require it written that way, just while we're getting used to this. So, so sometimes you write it that way, though really 22 is probably better in practice. Let's look at C. Note this is of the form a minus b, a plus b, which there's a formula for that. If you recall, that formula is a squared minus b squared. You can also just FOIL this together, but I'm going to use the formula. So this rad 5 is our a, and 5i is our b. Okay, so this whole thing comes to rad 5 quantity squared minus 5i quantity squared. All right, well, rad 5 squared is 5 minus, well, here we have 25i squared, and here we are at this critical juncture again, because we have to remember that I squared equals -1. Right? So 5 minus 25 times -1. Well, this becomes 5 plus 25, so indeed 30, which is a perfectly fine answer. Sometimes you may want to write this as 30 plus 0i if the problem explicitly asks for it that way. But in general, you just write it as 30.